start off with some background, Nietzsche was born in 1844 into a Prussian family. His father, a former Lutheran pastor, and his mother, a former teacher, helped form his connections to literature and academics, which is prevalent in his written works. Nietzsche worked at the University of Basel as a young man, but resigned from the position in 1879 due to poor health. As his health continued to deteriorate, he was cared for by his mother and his sister until his death. Following his death, Nietzsche's sister used his works to support her husband's German nationalist beliefs, often manipulating the works to seem contrary to Nietzsche's stated opinions. And as for why the work is called the gay science, Nietzsche viewed his methods as a subversion of the typical views of academia as stern and strict. He refers to art and poetry specifically as the highest forms of the gay science, as their means of finding happiness through knowledge. His view of philosophy was as an overarching discipline that allowed philosophers to see subjects as the parts of a greater picture or complete worldview. He also had a strict belief in the individual's ability to transcend the confines of social structure.
When people think of Nietzsche, they often think of a cynical or negative philosopher, and they do this largely because of his mechanistic, his purely material basis for viewing existence. But I think it's important to keep in mind that Nietzsche didn't view his beliefs in this way, and in fact he saw them as a source of new and maybe even infinite freedom and joy, as a source of enlightenment and possibility. And it's providing a kind of honest way of embracing existence. Nietzsche believed deeply in human beings, and his ideas were intended to offer a kind of liberating departure from the shameful or the fear-based aspects of organized religions. He wanted his readers to envision, like he did, the quote, beautiful chaos of existence. This was what he wanted his readers to see. According to Nietzsche, this freedom of thought allows human beings to structure their ideas and their beliefs about the world however they want to, which allows for what could potentially be immensely satisfying and meaningful belief systems. He says, quote, that we are neither as proud nor as happy as we might be, suggesting that in the absence of these preconceived, likely false notions we have about existence, we'd find an incredible potential for meaning. Nietzsche sees his beliefs opening up an endless sea of possibilities, that kind of like Ulysses or Odysseus in the Odyssey, in Tennyson's poem. He's going to set out on and explore, even though it's dangerous, even though in some places it's dark or overwhelming.
One of the isms that we're going to consider when dissecting this work is naturalism. Naturalism is defined as the idea or belief that only nature, as opposed to a supernatural, spiritual, or metaphysical force, are the laws and forces that operate in the world. The idea or belief that nothing exists beyond the natural world, and the idea that the natural world is governed by rules and structures that behave and do not change on every stage as a product of these natural laws, is something that a naturalist would affirm their beliefs with. And looking at section 59 in the book, Nietzsche draws a parallel to the illusion that religion casts on believers, and as he claims, blinds them from an appreciation for a natural order of life and from an appreciation of suffering. To quote directly from the book, when you love a woman, we easily conceive a hatred for nature on account of all the repulsive natural functions to which everyone is subject. Then we refuse to pay any heed to physiology and decree secretly, quote, I want to hear nothing about the fact that a human being is something more than soul and form. To summarize, Nietzsche is claiming that the beloved is to the beloved as the Christian is to nature. Naturally, this is a criticism that the view that the unpleasant aspects of life should be avoided or escaped. Nietzsche claims that Christians gloss over parts of life that are unpleasant, especially death, and points to the Christian notion that heaven is a better afterlife and a better place than life. Nietzsche says that to assert there is a better place creates the illusion of a better life that is not founded or supported by evidence or reason. This escapism from suffering denies that person an appreciation for the good in life by not understanding suffering. For example, our fangs and claws are structures derived from reason. They are evolutionary tools, rather than the results of God's unexplained domain. This also draws in nicely to Freud's assertion that with technology, man has become, as it were, a kind of prosthetic God. Man has synthesized God. Reason and technology has affected an understanding of nature that replaces faith with reason. If you distort life to see it as valuable, for example, to live in the hopes of being delivered to heaven, then you're not seeing life honestly. Nietzsche's hubris does not go unchecked, though, and he does have a self-deprecating claim when he says, philosophy is a symptom of the body proposing it, not a reflection of grasping reality. Therefore, his knowledge should be taken with a grain of salt, for he has no greater understanding of the operations of the world other than those that his body physically claims. And to segue into our final topic, we'll be juxtaposing teleology and mechanism. To begin, teleology is defined as a view of the world governed by purposes, typically those of God. We understand the world and the things within it by understanding God's purpose for them. Mechanism, however, is a view of the world as analogous to a clock. We understand its operations by analyzing it into its parts and understanding its laws. By the mechanistic view, God is disenchanted for Nietzsche.
Nietzsche's ideas about naturalism, about this kind of honest experience of existence, culminated in his idea that God is dead, for which he's so famously known. So continuing with the idea of an ocean of possibility, he says in passage 343 of the Gay Science, "Indeed, we philosophers and free spirits feel, when we hear the news that the old God is dead, as if a new dawn shone on us. Our heart overflows with gratitude, amazement, premonitions, expectation. At long last the horizon appears free to us again, even if it should not be bright. At long last our ships may venture out again, venture out to face any danger. All the daring of the lover of knowledge is permitted again. The sea, our sea, lies open again. Perhaps there has never yet been such an open sea." Thanks.